The galaxy laughed when Earth sent a plumber to inspect the most advanced star-powered station ever built. 43 minutes before that station exploded, they stopped laughing. Jonah Reed arrived on the Helios Exchange with a stained jacket, a dented tool case, and a coffee thermos older than some minor civilizations. The Exchange was a city-sized station wrapped around a captive star fragment. 71 worlds drew power from the glowing heart caged inside its spine. And Earth had sent a man who fixed pipes. Director Renick, silver-boned and translucent, found this personally offensive. "You are the human representative?" Renick asked. "Technician," Jonah said. "That was not my question." "No, sir, but it was the accurate answer." Renick glanced at the tool case. "Do you understand what this facility is?" Jonah looked at the star fragment suspended in force rings and coolant rivers. "Big boiler," Jonah said. The silence was perfect. Then someone laughed. Renick did not. "This station stabilizes habitats containing 900 million lives. It is not a boiler." Jonah nodded. "Then I'll be careful." By the third day, someone had edited Jonah's face onto a training diagram with the caption, "Terran Specialist Discovers Hot Object." Jonah saw it, sipped cold coffee, made a face, and kept walking. That irritated them more than anger would have. On the fourth night, a young Lenari apprentice named Cella found him half buried inside an access crawl space. "You are not authorized to open that panel." "Panel was humming wrong," Jonah called. "That conduit freezes this corridor in 9 seconds if it destabilizes." "Then step back." There was a clang, a human curse, and a shudder through the wall. The hum simply stopped sounding sick. Jonah stood holding a cracked regulator bead. "That component passed inspection this morning," Cella said. "Inspection was wrong." "Our diagnostics do not miss regulator decay." Jonah handed her the bead. This one did. The bead split in her hand. "Check the rest of the row, especially anything tied to thermal return." "Why?" "Because something upstream is lying." 2 hours later, Cella found 7 more failing regulator beads. The official system still marked them green. Her supervisor dismissed the report. Cella said nothing, but she began watching Jonah Reed. So did Renick. Jonah kept finding things: a late valve, a sick vibration, a seal that had passed every automated test because the test trusted clean numbers more than dirty reality. Renick confronted him during a public systems lecture beneath a perfect hologram of the station's energy grid. "Technician Reed, perhaps you would explain the flaw in this model?" There was no flaw. That was the point. Jonah studied the glowing map. "Your east side thermal return is drawn wrong." The chamber went still. Renick smiled. "And how would you know?" "Because Deck 14 smells like hot copper." "Hot copper means current bleed. Current bleed near thermal return means insulation breakdown. Heat expansion means the pipe isn't sitting where your map says it is." Renick ordered a live scan. Junction E12 appeared. The thermal return pipe had shifted 7.3 centimeters. Jonah sat down. Renick ended the lecture 11 minutes early. After that, the jokes became quieter. Late that night, Jonah passed through the pediatric habitat ring by accident. That was what he told himself. A tiny Orvathi child laughed as a maintenance drone spun for her. Jonah stopped walking. For a moment, the station was gone. He saw a hospital room on Earth during a winter storm. Wet wool, failing batteries, a little girl asking why the room was getting cold. The ward vent clicked and settled into a steady hum. Clean, alive. He turned away before anyone saw his face, but Cella saw. Later, she searched Earth infrastructure history and found Lake Armitage, a winter blackout, a hospital district losing heat, 46 dead before backup systems were restored. One survivor, Jonah Reed. One dead, Mara Reed, age 7. The next morning, Renick praised humanity's resilience in the same tone one might praise mold for growing in a drain. Jonah's face did not change, but Cella saw his thumb press into the old thermos until the metal bent. Then came the pulse storm. At 03:17 station time, the first wave struck. At 03:22, 3 outer relays went blind. At 03:29, the Central Intelligence reported contradictory flow data from the east thermal return. At 3:31, Deck 14 began to smell like hot copper. Jonah woke before the alarm. The station groaned. Not loudly, just enough. By the time Cella reached conduit row 19, Jonah was already opening panels. "What is happening?" she asked. Something upstream stopped lying. Her wrist console screamed. "Primary coolant logic is rejecting manual override." "Because the computer thinks the pipe is still where the map says it is."
"Can you fix it?"
"No."
"No?"
"Not from here." Across the exchange, 900 million beings heard the next alarm. Containment drift exceeding safe tolerance. Estimated cascade window, 43 minutes. For the first time in 2 centuries, the Helios Exchange began preparing to die. Renick took command from the central control chamber. None of his solutions worked. Every solution depended on the station being exactly what the model said it was. It was not. 7 centimeters of error had become a death sentence. Jonah and Cella entered at a run. "Remove that human," Renick snapped. Jonah ignored him. "You're venting heat into a blocked return." "We are stabilizing the containment ring." "No, you're cooking your own spine." "You were not authorized to speak here." Jonah pointed at the display. "You've got 38 minutes before Ring 3 pinches the coolant artery. After that, the star fragment flashes, the cage opens, and this station becomes a very expensive sunrise." "You cannot know that." "I have seen what happens when people in clean rooms ignore broken pipes." Then Jonah turned to the communications officer. "Open a maintenance broadcast. All decks, all species. Anyone who has ever fixed anything and is not currently dying." "Absolutely not," Renick said. Jonah stepped closer. "You built a perfect system. Congratulations. It's failing perfectly. Now we need every imperfect hand on this station." Cella opened the channel. Jonah's voice went out across the exchange. "This is Technician Jonah Reed on emergency maintenance band. If you can hear me, repeat this message to every deck, every shelter, every docked ship. Do not wait for permission. Share the signal. Relay it loud. We need pipe fitters, hull welders, coolant handlers, miners, engine crews, kitchen staff, cargo crews, anyone who knows how to stop a leak with the wrong tool. Mark your location. Answer now." For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the station answered. A mining crew had cutters. 4 freighters had pump rigs. A cafeteria worker had 27 heat blankets and no idea if that helped. Jonah said, "It might." The response became a flood. Not elegant, not approved, not centralized. Alive. "You with the cutters get to junction E12, Jonah ordered. "We are not certified for thermal systems. Today you are." Renick stared. This is chaos. No, Jonah said. Chaos is what happens when nobody knows what to do. This is a crew. The first explosion rocked the station. People screamed across open channels. Jonah closed his eyes for half a second, listening. Seal 12, not 11. Seal 11 is closer, Cella said. Seal 11 kills the pressure gradient. Seal 12 buys us 6 minutes. How do you know? Because the station just coughed. She obeyed. At 4:03, the mining crew reached junction E12. The pipe had shifted exactly where Jonah said it would. You need to cut the bracket, Jonah said. If we cut it, the pipe drops. Yes. If it drops, it tears open. Not if you catch it. With what? Jonah's eyes stopped on Renick. Director's gravity collar. This is ceremonial. It's a localized gravitic clamp. It is a symbol of office. It's about to become useful. Renick removed the collar with trembling hands. Jonah tossed it to Cella. Run. At 4:11, Ring 3 began to warp. The walls filled with light like dawn coming from the wrong direction. Jonah gave orders until his voice turned raw. His hands shook. His old thermos sat forgotten beside a console worth more than his hometown. Renick watched him. Really watched him. The human was terrified. That was the part Renick had missed. Jonah Reed was not calm because he did not feel fear. He was calm because fear had been with him so long it had become a tool. At 4:14, a new alert cut through the chamber. Pediatric habitat ring thermal drop. Ward temperature falling. Jonah stopped moving. The ward was not the station's biggest crisis. But Jonah looked at that blinking marker, and something in him went still. There are 900 million lives at risk, Renick said. We cannot divert resources for one habitat ring. How many children? Jonah asked. No one answered fast enough. How many? 112. For the first time since the crisis began, Jonah looked genuinely angry. Not loud. Focused. He rerouted the cafeteria heat blankets and assigned a dock pump to the pediatric loop. That reduces our margin by 3%, Renick said. Then we'll be 3% better. At 4:17, the miners cut the bracket. The pipe dropped. The collar caught it. For one impossible second, the survival of the Helios Exchange depended on a ceremonial ornament. 2 miners, a terrified apprentice, a cafeteria crew sprinting toward a children's ward with heat blankets, and a human's guess about how a station sounded when it was dying. Then the flow cleared. Coolant screamed through the artery. Ring 3 stopped warping. The star fragment dimmed. Across the exchange, alarms shut off one by one. Then a voice came over the open channel, breathless and shaking. This is cafeteria crew. Pediatric ring is stable. Children are warm. We still have heat blankets. Do we keep holding the valve? Jonah closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were wet. Yeah, he said softly. Hold it another minute for me. That was the first sound of victory. Renick stared at the stable containment display. You saved the exchange, he said. Jonah sat on the floor because his legs had decided the crisis was over. No, he said. We did. The emergency broadcast leaked within minutes. By morning, the phrase had spread across half the inner spiral. Do not wait for permission. Share the signal. It became a worker's motto first, then a rescue slogan, then a political problem. Because the galaxy had seen something dangerous. Not a human warship, not a human soldier, not a human weapon. A human maintenance man had looked at the most advanced energy station in civilized space and treated it like an old building with bad plumbing. Worse, he had made everyone else believe they could help. And worse still, when 900 million lives hung over a captive star, he had still noticed one cold room full of children. 2 days later, Cella found Jonah beside the repaired panel. "I read about Lake Armitage," she said. Jonah's hand tightened around the thermos. "I am sorry." The corridor hummed around them. This time, clean. "My daughter was in a pediatric ward," Jonah said. "Backup heat failed. Roads were frozen. Grid operators waited for confirmation before rerouting power. By the time someone broke protocol, it was too late. She was 7. His voice did not break. That made it worse. "I became the kind of man who does not wait for confirmation." Cella handed him the cracked regulator bead, sealed inside clear resin. "We are taught that systems speak only through data," she said. "You taught me they also speak through failure." Jonah slipped it into his jacket pocket. "Thank you." Renick came before the Terran courier departed. "I believed your species primitive," Renick said. "Most people do." "I believed your methods crude." They are. "I believed that made them inferior." Jonah looked at him. Renick bowed his head. "I was wrong." "One question," Renick said. "During the crisis, how many possible failure paths were you tracking?" "Hard to say." 10? No. 20? Jonah picked up his tool case. "Director, when a system starts dying, everything is a possible failure path." "Then how did you choose?" Jonah walked toward the docking corridor. "Same way humans always do." Renick followed him with his eyes. Jonah looked back once. "We fix the thing that kills people first." Weeks later, the Directorate added a Terran principle to its emergency doctrine. In cascading failure, authority follows usefulness. Across the spiral, crews painted another phrase on bulkheads, helmets, and tool cases. "Do not wait for permission. Share the signal." Cella kept a copy above her workstation. Renick kept one in his private office. But beneath it, he wrote a private note. The human did not repair the station. He taught the station how to be survived. Jonah Reed returned to Earth, to a small house near a cold lake, and placed the sealed regulator bead beside a photograph of a little girl with missing front teeth and bright, laughing eyes. He stood there for a long time. Then he whispered, "We got there in time today, Mara." Outside, snow began to fall. Inside, the old house creaked and clicked as the heater came on. Jonah tilted his head, listening. The hum was steady, clean, alive.